Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute Twill Weave bracelet. This was created by Christy and Matt Edwards on Instagram. I will have Christy's link right here so you can check her page out. She has been coming out with a couple new designs and I'm super excited. So this bracelet is a reversible design. This is technically the front side of it, which is super cute, but I do prefer the back side of this one. That's just my personal preference. You can wear it on either side. Just a little tip, when you take it off of the loom, it will not be this flat or wide. So stick around to the end so you can see how I get it to lay like that. For today's video, I will only be doing a small piece, but check the description box below for the full breakdown if you want to make a full length one. For today, you will need 164 bands plus your extension bands. The breakdown is 34 of the Persian on the side here, 20 of the green, 20 of the white, 45 of the blue, 45 of the tan, and approximately 15 or so extension bands. So you also need one C-clip and your hook, and I'm going to show you guys the loom setup. To get started, you're going to have 7 bars wide. Connect another 7 bars in front of this loom if you want to make a full length version. If you don't know how to connect 7 bars together, I do have another video that is a 7 bar wide design. It's not exactly the same setup, but it can at least be very helpful on how to connect things together. And I'm also going to show you a picture of the back of my setup right here, so you can see how I have my bases in. The main thing you want to make sure of is that yours are going downwards like so. Okay, so we are going to now choose our first color, which is going to be the border color. I'm doing this exact color combo, except I am changing the border color because I felt like they looked too similar and I don't want anything to look confusing. So the first thing we're going to do is lay one single one on the very center for closing it. And then we are going to lay 3 going diagonally to the left just to get the bracelet started. And then we'll go to the right as well. Starting from this corner pin, we're going to lay 10 straight bands if you are using 7 bars wide like I am. If you're using 2 loom setups, you are going to lay 22 of them. And it's very important that you do lay the number I'm telling you, because this is a tricky bracelet to loom out. And that way you guys can follow me without any issue. After you've laid 10 of them, there will be 2 empty pins over here on the right. If you use 2 loom setups, there will be 3 empty pins. We are not going to bring it in yet, so it should just stop like that. After 10 of those are laid, you're going to come to the left side and lay the same amount. So I'm going to get my left side done and I'll meet you guys back here. So this is what it will look like after both sides are completed. I'm coming back to the beginning and we're going to choose our next set of colors. So we're going to be laying 2 different bands at the same time. So the first one we lay will be the green. And then the second color we lay will be the white. You see the white more on the front side. But again, the green is what we're going to be laying first. So I am, for this part, going to stick to doing just one side at a time. So starting with my green, I'm going to come to the corner pin and lay a short diagonal band going into the center like that, or into the left, I guess. And then we're going to cross it with the white band. So we're going to come to this pin right here, the second pin in, and we're going to stretch it like so. We're going to go back to our green. We're going to go right on top of the white and lay another diagonal green. We'll grab our white again, and the white should always be crossing right in the middle of that green. Go back to the green, come up to this pin here. We'll lay it diagonally going inwards. We will back up a pin and cross it with the white. The order you lay these is extremely important because the way that you lay them affects this look right here. I had 2 bracelets come out where that was a little messed up, so I must have done something wrong when laying them. So just take your time with this part. I already crossed it with the white, so I'm going to go back with my green. You're always laying a green on top of the white band on the sides. Lay the green, cross it with the white. I will show you where we're going to stop when we get closer to the end of the loom. Once you've had a band, your white diagonal band connect to the side, that is where you're going to stop laying bands. We will not lay another green one right here. So that should be how it ends. We're going to do the same exact thing on the left side. I'm going to get you started. So I'll grab my green first, come to this corner, you'll lay it diagonally going inwards, and then we will cross it with the white. Grab your next green and cross it with the white. So go ahead and get the left side filled out and I will meet you guys back here. Okay, so you can see that both sides match. Make sure that they are identical. Push them down some, which I've already done. We're going to come back to the beginning and we're going to start laying the main pattern of the center of the bracelet, which is my blue and my tan. We're going to do this exact pattern where it makes like these diagonal lines. This part is very important that you take your time and lay them exactly as I do, so that looping is much easier and so that it comes out right. So I'm going to grab my first color, which is tan, and on the second pin to the right, we're going to lay it going diagonally inwards. And then we are going to grab our second color and lay that on the left side. So now that we have the middle done, we are going to look at this pin right here. And in your mind, I want you to look at the 4 surrounding pins like an X. So from here, you're looking at this, 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 and this, like an X. But it's very important the order that we lay it. We're going to grab whatever color you have right here on the left side. And from this middle pin, we're going to come down to the right, left to the middle, to the upper right, and upper left. Now we're going to come over this side, and in my mind, again, I'm looking at these 4 pins right here. Well, it's technically 5, but I look at it from the center like an X. So I'm going to grab whatever color I had here, and that's going to go on this side. So from the center, we're going to go diagonal to the right first, then left, then upper right, and upper left. I'm going to push it down a little, it makes things a little better. So now we're going to come over to this next pin on the right side, and we have to start with whatever color we had on the left side. So that will be my tan. So from this center pin, we're going to lay it to the right, diagonal down to the left, upper right, upper left. Grab your blue. You're always laying from right to left. So I have the bottom part of my X done. Now I'll do the right and then the left. We all have our own ways of like looking at things. I just want it to be a little easier because this is a little bit of a trickier design. So we just laid the blue on the left. We need to now start with the blue on the right side. So this is where my last X is. Come up to the next empty pin and we will begin laying the blue. So from the center pin, going down to the right, down to the left, up to the right, up to the left. Grab my tan. From the center we go diagonally down to the right, left, upper right, upper left. Do you see how it's starting to make the pattern? We have the blue zigzagging, and then we have the tan zigzagging. If you're not careful, you can mess that up, so just be patient. This is not a bracelet that's a fast one, so just take your time and have fun. So I end it with my tan. I'm going to start with my tan again, working from right to left. Now my blue. You can just keep following along as I lay them. Just always pay attention to the color you're laying. You should never be laying the same color here as what's behind it, since we lay them diagonally. Unless you decided to do a different color scheme, that's up to you. You will have a total of 11 X's of each color. So I'll have 11 blue X's and 11 tan X's, and that does not include the little V. If you're using 2 loom setups, you're going to have 23. So just so you know that you lay the correct number. Okay, so I just want to show you, regardless of what loom setup you're using, you're going to end with a full X of each color. It will not end like how we had to start with just one band here. So it should look like that with an X on each side. You can see that the middle of mine came to the very last pin in the center here. If you're using 2 loom sets, it will not end there. It will be 1 short. But as long as you make sure you have 23 of each X for 2 loom sets, you'll be good to go. But our looms should look exactly the same at the end. You see, here's my border, where my border ended. If you come to the row inwards, you'll see that my X ends 1 pin past the side. So I'm not trying to make it complicated. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And while we're down here, we're going to go ahead and grab our border color, whatever color you used here on the side, and we're going to close this off. So on the right side, where your last border ended, we're going to go diagonally in to the left 2 times, like so. And then we'll bring it down and connect it to the middle. Come on the left side, where your last border ended. We'll bring it inwards to the right 2 times. And then down to the center. I would definitely go through and push these bands down. Once you do that, turn your loom around. We'll grab 1 more border band and put it on the very center. We're going to place a regular cap band on there to start the looping. So to get started, we are first going to loop out this very bottom row of blue, which is our border. So go in the cap band. You'll be looping the right side first. Everything on this bracelet gets looped back to itself. So I'm bringing all of my right to themselves like so. Go back to the center and loop the left bottom row. Like so. Just like we laid the bands right to left, we also have to loop right to left, and I'm referring to the X's. So to start, we're going to come over to this pin here. If you're looking at the right bar pin, you're going to come over 1. We're going to start with this bottom tan and bring it into the center. Come over to this one and bring that into the center. Then we're going to go into that center and loop the top tans, but they're going to be looped outwards. So when you get inside of here, the top, there's 2 tan in there. The top one will go to the right. The bottom one will go to the left. So that whole section is done. We're going to come over to the blue, always starting on the right side. We will loop the bottom layer inwards. And then we'll go inside. Make sure there's like 4 bands in there you have to get in front of. Make sure you're grabbing the blue that is facing the right and loop it back to itself. Loop the left one to itself. So now we need to start doing this row. You can see the whole blue X there and the whole tan X there. Again, we have to loop right to left. So we're going to start right here. And we're going to start by looping the blue inwards. So the right one goes in. The left blue leg goes in as well. Make sure you're pushing all of the top 4 bands out of the way. And loop that in like so. Then we'll go into the center and loop the top back to themselves. And when I say top, I'm referring to the top of the X band. Come over to the tan, always starting with the right side of the X first. Bring it back to itself. Go into the center. Loop the top right one and top left one. Like so. So now from here on out, there's another step, well, a couple steps that we have to incorporate. We just had to get it started first. So after each color is finished, so my blue is done, my tan is done. This is where our last band was looped out to. You need to back up 1 pin, grab that green band, the short diagonal band, and you're going to loop it back to itself. You're going to back up from that pin, and now we're going to loop the white, which will go back to itself. Make sure you're only grabbing the white band and not the border. And you're going to loop that up, back to itself. We're going to come to the corner pin and loop up the border. Push it down a little. We need to come over to the right side. So I'm going to look for the last blue band that was looped, which is right here. And I'm going to back up 1 pin, and that's where my first diagonal green is, and loop that back to itself. Back up 1 pin, and we're going to grab our white diagonal and loop that to itself. That's a little bit of a longer diagonal stretch. Come to the corner border and loop that forward. And push that down. So we need to come up to the next row. So I always, just because I know it's kind of hard with so many bands, I always look for the next set of X. So this is all looped out. This is where my next tan X is. And I know that's where I need to start. You always start in the bottom right leg of the X. So this one right here. So we're going to come right into this pin and loop that X to the middle. Loop the left of the tan leg to the middle. I call it a leg, I don't know why. Then you're going to go into the center and loop the top 2 tan outwards. So all of my tan is done. Come over to your blue X, locate the right leg of that X, and we will loop that inwards And then we will loop the top part of the X out. So this is where the last band that we just looped is. We need to back up one pin. We're going to loop the green back to itself. Back up a pin from there. And we're going to loop this white back to itself. Come back to the border. You're going to locate the next border in line. So this one right here. It's the bottom band and loop it up. Locate the last tan looped band, or your last X band that's on the right side, which is right here. Back up one pin and loop your next green. When we do the sides, there's always 3 steps. So the green, back up and loop the white, and then come and do the next border that's in line, that's not looped yet. We're going to start that all over again. So we're going to come up to the next row and locate our next X, which is my blue one right here. I'm going to look for the right leg right here. Remember that always gets looped inwards. So I'm doing the left one now. And then we'll loop the top of the X out. After you loop that top blue out, if you just back up to the next pin, you can immediately start looping your next X that's on the left side. It took me a while. I usually memorize things very, very quickly. This one took me a bit of a, I think I had to make like 4 of them before I finally got it down packed. So just take your time. This is a little bit of an advanced design. This is where my last tan X was looped. Back up one, and we'll do our next green. We'll loop that out. Back up a pin and loop the white to itself. Come to the next border that hasn't been looped up yet, and loop that straight. Come over to the right. This is where my last band was looped on the right, so I'm going to back up. You can clearly see the next green in line. That's another way you can just look for that. Loop your green out, and the white, and then the border. And if I feel like I'm explaining it too much, I do apologize. You can always fast forward. I just want to make sure everybody knows what to do. So we're going to start our next X right here. Remember the right bottom leg. And then we will go in the center and loop the top parts out. Back up a pin and do the left blue one. I meant the left blue X, not the leg. I'm going to back up one and loop my green. Back up one on the side and do my white. And my border. Come over to the right side. Here's my last, or my next green that needs to be looped. Then I'll back up a pin and do my white. Go back in and do the border. So certainly just keep following along with me. And hopefully you guys are able to get it down. Don't forget to always back up after your X is done to do the green. You don't want to accidentally do the green from there, because then you're going to miss a whole section. So that's really important that you guys pay attention to the side bands and where you're looping. I'm not doing much talking because it's very easy to mess up. And I just really want to focus so that I don't mess up the looping. So it's going to be quiet. I am on my last tan full X. Now my last full blue X. We will only have one more set of our side green and white to loop. And that border. So I've just finished looping my last set of side bands and that last straight border. We have one more set of our blue and tan in the middle. In the center pin right here, it's the second to last pin. They are just going to go back to themselves. The blue goes to the right. The tan goes to the left. And to close it off, we're just going to loom the very bottom band, which is the border along the top row, back to itself. Like so. Come on the right side from the corner, do the same thing, and loop the bottom band all the way in until you reach the center. We're going to locate that loose band that we had there at the beginning. We're going to go inside the pin and bring both ends together. And you can either put your hook through to temporarily hold it or C-clip it. It depends if you're doing an extension or not. I will have an eye right here if you don't know how to do an extension. I'm not going to be doing one today. But I do recommend for this bracelet that you use your hook to release at least the sides. I like to release it all with my hook. It is a very wide design, but that is up to you. Okay, so I want you guys to see how messy mine comes off of the loom. So don't panic, because mine looks like that too. The very first thing I do is stretch it up and down. But for this design, it's extremely important, starting at the bottom, to grab both sides and pull to the left and the right. Then I go up just a little bit and pull left to right. And I do that all the way up the bracelet, like so, to flatten it out like that. It does have like a wavy look to it. That's just the way that the bracelet is. Depending which side you want to wear it on, you can flip it and stretch this side so that it kind of lays flatter on that side. But I like wearing it on the back side. So the next thing that I do, especially if using specialty bands, see how they get all twisted? And sometimes they get very tucked in. So I just go up the bracelet, untuck them, and I twist like this with my finger. And you can see that they are nice and straight now. Do the same on the left side. And then I will do one more stretch left to right. And that is how you create the Twill Weave bracelet, created by Christy on Instagram. Her handle is Christy and Matt Edwards. Like I said, I will have that linked in this video so you can check her out. I think this is such a very cool design. I love it. I know it's a wide one and it takes a while, but I think it's nice to have different types of bracelets on my channel. So don't forget to tag her and myself if you make one. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you really soon at my next video. Thank you so much, guys. Bye!